If you have a curious overthinker in your life, a Masterclass membership would make a great gift. With Masterclass, your loved ones can learn from experts in so many different fields from all over the world. If you're struggling to come up with an amazing gift idea for that person in your life who is not necessarily maybe into material goods, but you still want to get them something really special, with Masterclass, you can give them the gift of a course with the influential intellectual Noam Chomsky, or a crash course in solving scientific problems with Bill Nye the Science Guy. And the classes really make a difference. 88% of members feel that Masterclass made a positive impact on their lives. I highly recommend the class offered by author Margaret Atwood. Being able to access a legendary writer like that and mine her brain for her best creative writing advice is just such an unbelievably cool service. Masterclass always has great offers during the holidays, sometimes up to as much as 50% off. Head over to masterclass.com/magical for the current offer. That's up to 50% off at masterclass.com/magical. Masterclass.com/magical. Sometimes I think I rely a little too heavily on the wisdom of my close friends, when really I should be working with an objective professional to sort through some of my struggles. Instead of treating your friends as therapists all of the time, what if you could easily find an actual therapist that you connect with? Enter ZocDoc. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors, choose the right one for your needs, and click to instantly book an appointment. We're talking about in-network appointments with more than 100,000 healthcare providers across every specialty, from mental health to dental health, eye care to skincare, and much more. I get very stressed when booking doctor's appointments, which is why I genuinely and sincerely use ZocDoc. I've been using it for about 6 years now, and I love that you can easily filter for doctors that take your insurance. If you have anxiety about booking doctor's appointments with a therapist or a gynecologist or anyone else, I truly, from the bottom of my heart, recommend this service. Plus, ZocDoc appointments happen fast, typically within just 24 to 72 hours of booking. You can even score same-day appointments. So stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/magical to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/magical. ZocDoc.com/magical. Welcome to the Magical Overthinkers podcast, a show for thought spiralers, exploring the subjects we can't stop overthinking about, from burnout to celebrity worship. If you can connect to the idea that despite living in the so-called information age, life only seems to be making less sense, then you're in the right place. This podcast is here to try and help make some sense of the senseless, to help us quiet the noise in our minds for a little while, or maybe even hear a melody in it. I'm your host, Amanda Montell. Today, we're overthinking about adult friendship. I can't lie to you listeners, I am feeling a little brain dead today, a little like a zombie. I'm recording this episode the day after the American presidential election. I could have pushed this interview today. I decided not to, in part just because deadlines, life must go on. But also, genuinely recording this podcast makes me feel soothed a lot of the time. The people that I get to interview for this podcast are so smart and generous and kind. And I really feel like they kind of help me take the temperature down in my brain a little bit. But yeah, I am not bringing my most eloquent, poised self to this call today. To this call. We're not on a call. This is a podcast. What is our relationship, podcaster to listener? Are we friends? No. But there was a version of this podcast, Magical Overthinkers, where I thought, every single episode I'm going to bring my most vulnerable and authentic self, and I'm going to be messy, and I'm going to not make sense a lot of the time. And, I am sloppy and I don't make sense a lot of the time, I'm sure. But I think I bring sort of a controlled persona to these recordings. And that's partially a defense mechanism against judgment from strangers. But today, I just think I can't keep it together. So you're getting a messy version of myself today, and I hope we can all just have some gentleness with that. This also felt like a good episode to record today because upon beginning to internalize the reality of the next 4 years politically, I immediately turned to my friends. And by my friends, I mean, my close personal platonic relationships in my life. So many of us were checking in on each other via text. The vibes were somber. Immediately after I stop recording this episode, I'm going to go over to a friend's house and we're going to take edibles and hang out with her dog and watch something stupid. Friendships are so important, and yet our culture doesn't really provide a lot of examples for how to form and nurture them. After all, loneliness has in recent years been labeled an epidemic. The U.S. Surgeon General, Dr. Vivek Murthy, has made the point that the rapid pace of modern life, moving around so much and changing jobs more than ever and using social media as a hollow replacement for deep relationships, has caused a kind of friendship void. I'm gonna hit you with some stats now. To quantify the importance of friendship, Pew Research has found that 61% of American adults believe that having close friends is extremely or very important for living a fulfilling life. Another study from 2023 titled Adult Friendship and Wellbeing, a Systematic Review, I'll link it in the show notes, found that positive supportive friendships can predict higher levels of physical and psychological well-being more than any other variable. I found a meme or post or a tweet or some social media message the other day that said something like, yeah, sex is great, but have you ever had your best friend move to your neighborhood? I think anyone who's ever experienced a really, really tight, intimate friendship knows how beneficial they can be for your mental health. Many of us experience those type of friendships in childhood, and it can be harder to recreate that type of just soul connection as an adult when you're dealing with so many other responsibilities that I feel like our broader culture prizes above friendship, like marriage and kids and career. Our guest today, who I am so excited for you to meet because she's able to articulate herself much better than me today, Anna Goldfarb, who's the author of a new book called Modern Friendship. She's pointed out that friendships today are, quote, up against historically new forces that we as a culture have no precedent for navigating, including long-distance friendships and social media pressures. And this is why so very many folks feel like they're really struggling with regard to friendship. Forming friends is just a more complicated process now. I came across a Harper's Bazaar piece titled Why Is It So Difficult to Make Friends as an Adult, which also attempted to quantify some of these difficulties. The piece said, quote, as kids, we aren't self-conscious or have commitment problems. But then as we grow older, all of these barriers, self-consciousness, competitiveness, etc., complicate our social lives. This Harper's Bazaar piece also revealed that making just a casual friend requires 50 hours of quality time. Developing a close friend can require around 200 hours. Where are Americans supposed to find that time? And the process of developing a new close friendship as an adult can feel really daunting. When you're in school, there's a whole infrastructure set up for becoming really, really close. You're put together in a dorm or in a classroom. You're having all these novel experiences together. You're crying in front of each other. And then as adults, there just aren't those natural ways of meeting each other. Developing adult friendships is so complicated and mysterious and cryptic. It's really easy to thought spiral. It's really easy to blame ourselves if our friendships aren't at the state we wish they were. So many listeners submitted thought spirals and overthinking questions on today's subject. And to help us parse through those, I am so excited to introduce today's special guest, Anna Goldfarb, a journalist whose beat for the last several years has been adult friendships. I hope that overall you find this discussion validating. Thank you for listening, even as I am not my smartest self today. So without further delay, here's Anna. Anna, welcome to the Magical Overthinkers podcast. Could you please introduce yourself and your work to our listeners?
Sure. My name is Anna Goldfarb. I'm a journalist and an author. My latest book is called Modern Friendship: How to Nurture Our Most Valued Connections. And I've been reporting on friendships for almost 10 years for the New York Times, The Atlantic, Washington Post, Fox, like a bunch of places. And I started reporting on friendships, really like, what's going on here? Like, what's the deal? Like Seinfeld, like, what's the deal with friendships? And the more I learned, the more questions I had. And I didn't really see people asking the kinds of questions I was having, which I got to explore in my book of, why does it feel like I have 100 friends and 0 friends? Why do both things feel true? How do I know if I'm picking good friends? Is my picker off? Like, what is going on here? Why is this so much harder? Is it so much harder? The answer it is. Why is it so much harder to keep friendships strong? That it feels so much harder than our parents and grandparents. We just have wildly different challenges. One of my favorite articles was how to handle a friendship quiet season. And I wrote that for the New York Times. And I think it really gets to the anxiety people have about their friendships of, is it going to go away? Like, are you going to forget about me? What does it mean when we have silences and we have to generate stories about what these silences mean and the ambiguity of friendships? I mean, it's such an ambiguous relationship. It's an ambiguous word. And there's just so much anxiety around friendship and what these things mean. So that's what I wanted to explore. That's what I wanted to get some firm answers on.
The language around it is so interesting to me. That's what I gravitate towards. I wish there were more labels in a way to describe the people in your life, because I feel like we're so quick to describe people as friends, especially living in Los Angeles, where a lot of relationships are sort of surreptitiously transactional. And you have your sort of professional friends, your like Instagram friends. I'm not speaking for myself. Like, I really try to avoid that. But for me, the word friend is family. Like, it takes a lot for me to classify someone in my life as a friend. I'll use some sort of nebulous description like, oh, my like professional sort of friend, acquaintance. I don't know. We met at a book thing, or like say my colleague, but sometimes that can feel a little cold. Yeah, I think there's a lot of nebulousness surrounding the role that friends, whatever that means, are supposed to play in your adult life. And I can't wait to continue to talk more about this. But first, this is a show for thought spiralers. And I normally open by asking my guest, what is an irrational thought spiral that's living rent-free in your head lately? But today, I mean, we have to address the elephant in the room. The listeners will already know by now that we're recording this episode the day after the American presidential election. And so we're like in a state. And you were talking about how you've been really connecting with friends this morning. So have I. What has that been like for you?
The best thing we can do for our friends is just be present. And, we can't solve anything. There's nothing to say to take the shock away. It's more just, I'm sad with you. I'm here with you and I'm sad with you. And that's the best thing we can do for our dearest friends right now.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm like really, really stupid today. Normally, I feel like I can really compartmentalize and like keep it together on this show. But I feel like everyone I know, and even people I'm only meeting for the first time, like you, I feel like a lot of us are experiencing like almost like a death together.
Yeah, we're grieving.
Yeah. And so I automatically know that you're going to have grace for me as I fumble through this interview. You seem very composed.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm on a lot of Zoloft, so I mean, I'm clearly medicated. But also, part of what we look for is meaning in something like this, just making sense of it. Like, the whole country voted like this. Wow. What does this say about the bubble I'm in that I didn't see this coming, that I feel disconnected from the pulse?
Did you really not see it coming?
No, not at all. I mean, I listen to every podcast, watch every Pod Save America.
Yeah, but that's the bubble.
That's the bubble.
Know,
like the Iowa poll is like, oh my God, this is really happening. And on one hand, it's like, well, I'm glad there's not the narrative of it being really close and the Supreme Court handed it to him. And then it would have been more of a, feeling like a robbery, like Bush and Gore.
Okay.
This is like the whole country gave him a mandate of like, this is what we want.
That is so unsettling. Like, I think that is what I'm reckoning with is like, this wasn't some mistake. This wasn't some fluke. Yeah. And that's just like a really tough pill to swallow for folks like us, I guess, because we're just like, whoa, like, I don't know. People have smarter shit to say than me about this right now.
I'm very much in shock. And the realization that we will probably never, in my lifetime, maybe even have a woman president, that this was a bridge too far for a lot of people. And that feels demeaning to me as a woman. It feels humiliating to me as a woman. So I'm grieving a lot of different things. And listen, I'm with you of just scrambling to make sense of how am I so far off what the majority of Americans want. Like, it's just really blowing my mind that we have such wildly different values with our fellow citizens.
I would like to think that most of the people who voted for him were not gung-ho about it. I would like to think that the MAGA, non-MAGA binary is an illusion. I would like to think that a lot of people just sort of queasily chose the devil they knew as a bid for a little more certainty, which certainly doesn't make sense. I mean, whatever. Like, it's not possible to parse through all of the small, minute, random, unfortunate decisions that led us here. We want one big thing to blame. And I think it's actually a lot of small, boring, pedestrian, everyday senselessnesses.
Yeah, I don't think it was that deep for a lot of people. I really think they thought, oh, he'll do a better job with the economy. Done. I don't think it was that deep.
Yeah, and I don't even know if I think it maybe was just as simple as like maybe thinking about how far people's dollars went 6 years ago and smoothing over the rest. This is what our minds do, is like we get done with a bad experience, and unless it was like truly traumatizing enough to haunt us in incessant flashbacks, we like immediately soften it. We immediately view it through rosy glasses. That is like how memory works. And so I think for some fucking combination of reasons, the Make America Great Again sentiment just like resonated with people better than the we're not going back. I think a lot of people did want to go back. Even if back is not really what they're aiming for, their brains convinced them it was.
Yeah, I think that's what we just saw.
I know we're here to talk about adult friendship, and like it's been really, I don't know. I've been feeling a lot of solidarity today in my friend group. My partner and I just got a text from our neighbors who are in their 50s being like, I'm making a pot of soup tonight for comfort. Come around, get some soup. Like, I do feel like in moments of widespread grief like this, if I can even think of such a thing as silver lining, it's like a way for, I guess at best, communities to come together. And I'm hoping this does not create further divide on the left. I'm hoping. And I'm scared it will, because my first impulse, when it really, really was looking like Trump was going to win, my first impulse was to get mad at fellow progressives.
Same.
Like, I was mad at us. Like, I'm holding us to a higher standard than that. But really, like, I just want to use it as an excuse for us to come together and not, like, point fingers and play the blame game, because that's not going to be productive. We need to be making soup. We need to be, like, engaging in grassroots advocacy. I don't know a plan yet. This happened 12 hours ago, but, like, yeah.
Do you think that looking back through the lens, this almost felt inevitable? I think that this is the logical progression of billionaires pulling the strings.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So
Elon
Musk are definitely involved in all these things.
Musk is high key like the most powerful person in the world.
Yeah.
And I think his embrace of Trump really goes to show that he like never really cared about the environment. He never cared about the things that his businesses purport to support. He cares about power and wealth. And like, is that a shock? No. But it is super disappointing and disheartening.
A lot of stuff going on, Amanda. Oh, God.
With Masterclass, I get to explore all of my niche interests. And if you have a curious overthinker in your life, a Masterclass membership would make a great gift. With Masterclass, your loved ones can learn from experts in so many different fields from all over the world to become their brainiest, most well-rounded selves. Masterclass is the only streaming platform where you can learn and grow with over 200 of the world's best. That's why Wirecutter calls it an invaluable gift. If you're struggling to come up with an amazing gift idea for that person in your life who is not necessarily maybe into material goods, but you still want to get them something really special, with Masterclass, you can give them the gift of a course with the influential intellectual Noam Chomsky, or a crash course in solving scientific problems with Bill Nye the Science Guy. And the classes really make a difference. 88% of members feel that Masterclass made a positive impact on their lives. I highly recommend the class offered by author Margaret Atwood. Being able to access a legendary writer like that and mine her brain for her best creative writing advice is just such an unbelievably cool service and completely worth the cost of a membership. Masterclass always has great offers during the holidays, sometimes up to as much as 50% off. Head over to masterclass.com/magical for the current offer. That's up to 50% off at masterclass.com/magical. masterclass.com/magical. Well, we're here to talk about adult friendships today. Not irrelevant, as we've been alluding to, super important in times of crisis, personal or global. It's a really good idea to rely on your communities, and yet making friends is not so easy as a grown-up. And we're going to talk about why and how to overcome that. When we first began our conversation today, you mentioned that the challenges or the barriers to fulfilling, consistent, satisfying adult friendships are different now than they were in generations past. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about that, because I feel like that's going to feel really validating to certain listeners who feel like they're doing something wrong and are failing in the friend department.
Yeah, I am here to tell you, you are doing nothing wrong. Our culture is very different than even our grandparents' culture. My grandma lived in the same house for 53 years. She was born and raised in Philly. She was married at 18, had her first child at 19. It's so wildly different than my life. And I've lived in 3 different cities. I've been to college. I've been to grad school. I've met people from all different parts of my life that I have to learn how to manage all these different relationships in different parts of the country. My grandma didn't really have that. She had friends at her synagogue she'd known forever, so she went to grade school with them. She didn't have to try so hard. And what I learned is that their personal social network resembled more of concentric circles, where it's like you, your family, your religion, your job. They had less options about who they could befriend. They had less options of the jobs they could do, but they also had more certainty of this is what's expected of me. Now we have so much choice. We have unlimited flexibility in who we can befriend. We can befriend people with wildly different backgrounds, different religions, different genders. It's just so different. Like your grandma did not probably have a best guy friend growing up. I don't think she probably had any guy friends. And now we marry so much later that we have so much more time in our 20s and 30s to spend with our friends, to develop close relationships with them in a way that our grandparents usually did not have that kind of time. They were busy raising their families.
Yeah, it sounds like a gift and a curse. It's mostly a gift. Whenever I talk about contemporary information age challenges, it can start to sound a little bit like I long for a time before social media, before the internet. And yes, I do long for a less digital life, but I wouldn't trade living in 2024 for living in 1954, even though I have analysis paralysis and Schuster's paradox and whatever. Now, I would not trade it. But, there are side effects that come with more flexibility. Like you're saying, having limitless options, or the illusion of limitless options, also means that people are feeling a little frozen with how to proceed. There's not a script.
They don't know how to regard this collection of friends that they've amassed throughout their life. And we live in something closer to a spoke network, most of us, where we're in the center and we have different branches of cohorts. Our childhood friends, our college friends, our friends from our work, friends from our neighborhood, and they only share common history with us, not with each other. So that is the biggest challenge for modern friendships. And that's why we feel so lonely, because we don't have a lot of help keeping these friendships active. The burden is on us individually to make a case for why should I keep this friendship active or not. That's new information for us. That is a new shift. That is a marked shift from your grandparents who did not have to try so hard to keep friendships afloat. They saw their friends every week at church. They saw their friends every week at the groups and organizations they were a part of. But we don't have that orientation. Generally speaking, if you're in a cult, you have a very small social circle. Assuming you're not in a cult.
I was about to say, like, this is why people get so involved in online friend groups, if you want to call it that, fandoms and things, cult-like communities, because, there is a void that, again, like, I wouldn't rather be, like, expected to go to church or synagogue every single week and expected to be friends with those people by default. But it does feel nice to be able to show up consistently to a place and have a social infrastructure there. It's so much work to like knit together a friend group. I mean, it has taken me 11 years living in Los Angeles to like marry disparate friends. No, I really sound like a cult leader. Yes, we've all engaged in a group marriage ceremony. No, but like to knit, I guess, these disparate friendships together in a way that feels cohesive. That has been a full-time fucking job, and I'm grateful for it, and I value it so much. But it's also required so much nurturing that I understand completely why so many people have felt unable to do that. I once saw a funny post online that said something along the lines of, your therapist is not your friend is not your therapist, not even your friend who's a therapist is your therapist. And I felt really called out in a good way by it, because sometimes I think I rely a little too heavily on the wisdom of my close friends, when really I should be working with an objective professional to sort through some of my struggles. Instead of treating your friends as therapists all of the time, what if you could easily find an actual therapist that you connect with? Enter ZocDoc. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors, choose the right one for your needs, and click to instantly book an appointment. We're talking about in-network appointments with more than 100,000 healthcare providers across every specialty, from mental health to dental health, eye care to skincare, and much more. I get very stressed when booking doctor's appointments, which is why I genuinely and sincerely use ZocDoc. I've been using it for about 6 years now, and I love that you can easily filter for doctors that take your insurance. If you have anxiety about booking doctor's appointments with a therapist or a gynecologist or anyone else, I truly, from the bottom of my heart, recommend this service. Plus, ZocDoc appointments happen fast, typically within just 24 to 72 hours of booking. You can even score same-day appointments. So stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/magical to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/magical. ZocDoc.com/magical. So you've coined the term wholehearted friendship, and I was wondering if you could explain what that means and how people can cultivate it.
Yeah, I came up with this paradigm called wholehearted friendship, and it's designed to close the gap between the kind of friend I wanted my friends to experience me being and the kind of friend I actually was. That's a long way of saying I didn't know if I was fucking up a lot. I felt like I wanted to show my friends I cared, but did they receive my love, attention, energy, effort as care? So how can I close the gap? And what I learned about friendship in general is that it's based on time. Jeffrey A. Hall is a professor of communication at Kansas University, and he found that it takes 200 hours of shared activities to go from stranger to close friend. 200 hours. So I was thinking like, okay, well, who wants to do 200 hours of anything? Like it's not enough to meet the friend. It's like, well, what are we going to do to spend 200 hours together? And what I learned is that friendships require 3 things: desire, which is who you yearn to spend time with; diligence, who you prioritize spending your time with; and delight, who you actually enjoy spending time with. All these concepts are based around time. What I learned about desire is that every friendship needs an about, and the about needs to be clear and compelling. And this was the most revolutionary thing for me to learn, because I think people expect affection to carry a friendship through indefinitely. And that's not actually how we are. I mean, our phones are full of friends that we love, but we never call them. Why aren't we calling them? Because what is the about? Is it clear? Is it compelling? If I have a friend from camp who I adore, How often do I want to talk about camp? Like every 6 years? That's probably why we talk every 6 years. So just learning, this is like a cheat code to friendship of it's not enough that we like each other. There has to be an about. There has to be something else that we want to marvel at, that we want to look at, we want to experience, we want to laugh at. We knew this as children. When we sit at the lunch table and sat next to some cool girl with Teddy Grahams and she's like, oh, you love horses? I love horses. Oh, what kind of horses do you ride? Okay, your friendship's about horses and you get geeked out about horses. And then you might find something else more compelling that's even deeper similarity. Like, oh, actually, we're both queer. Like we have a deeper connection and that's what makes friendships develop deeper. But it's really about the about. Abouts can change, be outdated, or be absent. So this is really important to know about your friendships. And I'm hoping everybody's like, the wheels are turning and they're like, well, what are my friendships about? And another thing I learned was there is a study in 2020, which found the 5 reasons people make friends. And the first is career. The second is mating. The third is desirable qualities, which basically means you share hobbies and passions. They're cool. Fourth is emotional support. And fifth is sociability, just to be part of a group. You join the book club just to be out around people. So all of this is to say, those are great abouts for a friendship. But if your friendship was about mating, about going out, drinking, meeting guys, and then you couple up, well, mating's not as compelling to you guys anymore, maybe. So you need to find a new about. You need to negotiate a new about to keep your friendship active. So I just threw a lot of information at you, Amanda. Like, how does that all sound? Does that sound about right?
No, I really like hearing it. It's helpful to have data because I feel like I can get hard on myself sometimes when I feel like a process should be really intuitive. Like this is hypothetical. This doesn't apply to me personally at the moment, but it's like, God damn it. Why is it so hard to maintain a best friendship? This should just feel natural. This should just be easy. And then you turn to self-blame, maybe. Like, what is wrong with me? Am I defective? Am I unlovable? And you go down that kind of thought spiral. But you kind of like breaking down all of these factors shows that there's sort of a calculus that goes into modern adult friendship. And it's not actually as sort of like intuitive and natural and organic and vibes driven as you might think. And so I find that a helpful notion. And as you were talking, I was sort of like thinking about my own friendships, which I feel really good about in my life right now. And there are threats that have been posed to my friend group recently, mind you. But like my core friendships are so strong. And I think it has to do with that about. And it also has to do with trust. And we'll talk about trust and toxic friendships later. But I'm curious, like, speaking of all of the modern day kind of seeming assets to friendship that can also be threats, could you talk about how technology and social media have impacted adult friendships, both positively and negatively?
What social media does is that it flattens our social circle so that the algorithm chooses what you see. And so you see a running feed of people from all different parts of your life who may not know each other, but only know you. So it's like these little islands of interaction, but it's not cohesive. It's a strange feeling to see, oh, well, there's my friend who moved away 12 years ago. Oh, there's my old coworker. Oh, there's my sister. And your actual real life does not look like that. You usually are not spending any energy on the friend that moved away 12 years ago. It's a facsimile of your social life, but it's not an actual social life. And what I learned writing this book, and this is based off of Robin Dunbar's research. He's a British anthropologist. He's brilliant. He's studied social groups. And our social lives are supposed to look a certain way. There's tiers of friendship. And the most intimate tier I call the bathtub because there's not much room in there. And usually it's just one person. For men, it's usually their significant other. And for women, generally speaking, it's usually 2 people in their bathtub. It's a best friend and their significant other. So right there shows you that even that requires negotiation in the little bathtub. The next outer ring I call the jacuzzi. And those are your 3 to 5 besties, support friendships. That's what Dunbar calls a support group. And they all play different roles for you. So 3 to 5 friends is really where the magic is. Those are your besties. And the outer ring I call the swimming pool. That's 10 to 15 people. And those are the people you might go on double dates with. You might house sit, pet sit. They're the people in your life. And I named these tiers after water features to highlight how fluid they are. This is so fluid. Falling in love costs you 2 friendships. It's not because we're monsters. It's because our availability plummets and our priorities change. It's not static. Our social circle is always moving, just like at a pool party, how you dip in from the jacuzzi to the swimming pool. And that's based on the about of your friendship. What is the about? How compelling is it to you both? This is where things get interesting, because if your friend has a baby and then their priorities change, their availability changes. So your jacuzzi friend might bop down to a swimming pool friend or even beyond. And it doesn't mean that there's not love and affection and care. It just means this is the status today. It could always change. We can renegotiate. We can say, hey, Amanda, I miss you. I want to spend more time with you. We can have strategies to work with the fluidity of friendship, but that's what's happening.
That is so comforting, because in my life, I've often felt like during those fluid moments where someone went from the jacuzzi to the swimming pool, let's say, I felt really guilty about that. I felt like our friendship is falling apart, or like we're growing apart, or I'm being a bad friend. But what I'm hearing from your analysis is that, like, first of all, that friendship can totally repair. And also, it doesn't mean you're a bad person or that your friendship is falling apart. It just means that there's been a renegotiation of priorities. Like I remember my best friend from college. We met in a poetry class and initially bonded over our love of books and writing and wanting to pursue a career in that field. She at some point decided she didn't want to work in book publishing, which was her like initial career goal. She wanted to be a teacher. And I remember feeling disappointed at first by that. And then I felt guilty for feeling disappointed, because I was like, no. And I, of course, supported her and was like, so happy for her and wanted her to follow her new dreams and whatever. But like part of me was like, oh, I'm a piece of shit because I want her to do something closer to my dream. But now I'm hearing that that wasn't me being a piece of shit. That was just me maybe wanting to protect our about. This friend and I have had a many, many, many years long friendship, and we always find each other again. And like her core self and I are extremely compatible. But when she was a 6th grade English teacher, yeah, our about, it was a little bit threatened, I will say.
Yeah. And, we don't have the language for it to be like, is it me? And it's like, no, it's not about me. It's about our friendship needs something apart from us. What is it apart from us that we both want to spend time on? That's the desire. And I liken desire to gas in a car. And you can have the best top of the line car, but if there's no gas in it, you're not going to Whole Foods to get a Greek salad. Like you're not going anywhere. So desire in a friendship is the gas in the car. There needs to be a reason to move forward.
Yes. So speaking of like fluidity, and that word sounds all hunky-dory, but at the end of the day, like it sucks when you're in a period of your life where you feel like you have no friends. And so I'm wondering, what are some of your tips for how adults can make new, sincere, fulfilling friends in a culture that really deprioritizes it? Sorry, I want to ask this question, but I really have to say, I feel like our culture really encourages us to go ham on our career pursuits, to go ham on our romantic pursuits. And I grew up with parents who really didn't have friends because they were going all cylinders on career and kids. So in a culture that seems to deprioritize friendship, and in a culture that poses all of these very complicated threats to consistent friendship, how the fuck do we make friends?
It's the same question of how do you go food shopping when you're hungry? It's the same thing. Friendship is a supermarket. And when you go food shopping and you're starving, you let your cravings dictate the bus. You put whatever bullshit into your cart, the hot bar, mozzarella sticks, whatever you're craving goes into your cart. And when you check out, you're like, how am I going to have a dinner from any of these random things? Our friendships, we have the same exact problem of having all of these ways to communicate with all of these people from all parts of our life. You're letting your cravings guide who you're reaching out to and why. Now, when you go food shopping and you have a list, well, A, you're already full and you have a list, it's not nearly as fraught. You know exactly what belongs in your cart to make a great dinner. And this is what's so important about identifying your jacuzzi friends, those 3 to 5 people. And my book will help you identify them. I'll ask you a ton of fun questions of, well, who do you go to for financial advice? Who's the most likely to give you a hug? Who can you stay over on short notice at their place? So you can identify who are those close people in my life. And my strategy is be a wonderful friend to those few people. You do not have to do this to everyone you've ever met. Really just pick a few people and be wonderful to them. And my hunch is the last time you had really great friendships, it's usually in high school or college when you just had a few people. And part of what I advise my readers is to tell your friends, hey, you're in my jacuzzi. And they're like, what are you talking about? And you're like, you're my jacuzzi friend. Here's what that means. It means I promise to write back to your texts as soon as they come in. It means I want to celebrate our birthdays together. It means I want to celebrate a friendiversary with you. Like you can tell your friend, this is what you mean
How
to
much
me,
they mean to you.
and
Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere. And that is such a gift of reassurance that we can give our friends of, I love being your friend. Here's why. And I'm not going anywhere. And we can do that. So then everything becomes a lot more manageable because you know who to focus on. And then these other friendships that aren't as satisfying, that are sort of on the fritz, you know what box to put them in. You know how to regard them. I've been living this wholehearted friendship paradigm. I have never had better friendships in my life. I'm 46. I'm like a cat mom. I'm pretty lazy. I play video games. But I know who I will drop everything for and why we're great friends, what our about is, why my friend picks me. Like people think that they'll be happier when they have a lot of friends, but studies show what actually makes us happier is to be considered someone's best friend. And that's because it's a good measure of our inner beauty, our good character. Like that makes us feel good, not just, oh, I have these tons of friends in my phone that I could text. That doesn't really feel as good as you think it would.
I actually find it such a red flag when people have too many friends. I'm like, why? Like, what do you need from all of those people?
You know, I had a short answer to your question about how to make friends. And the short answer is care very deeply about what your jacuzzi friends care about. People tend to keep others around who care about the things they care about. And here's what that looks like for me is, one of my best friends is a stepmom. So I've cultivated a relationship with her stepkids. I buy them presents on the holidays. I have their birthdays in my calendar. And I show them love and respect because as a reflection of the love and respect I have for her. And that's what makes our friendship special and shatterproof because she knows I see her for all the roles she plays. There's a new trend where people use their friends as entertainment. Like, let's go out for dinner. Let's go out. Let's go out. But I'm telling you, it does not need to be, let's go out. Let's go out. It can be, I want to see what's in your life. I want to try the foods that you ate growing up. That's called social identity support. And there's a small study by this researcher, Carolyn Weiss, and she wanted to see who would be more likely to be best friends in 4 years' time. And she found that friends that showed social identity support were much more likely to still be friends in 4 years. And social identity support is really just, I see you, Amanda, that you're a woman, you're a daughter, you're a partner, you're in all these roles, and I'm here to help you in all the roles that you play. And that's what we want from our friends. We want that. We want to feel seen and not just, oh, I want to go out for dinner. I want to try this restaurant. Do you want to go?
Yeah.
Well, it's like, well, why me?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
That doesn't really lead to anything, those deep friendships that we crave. Yesterday I helped my best friend go to the vet to pick up her dog who had his teeth cleaned. That's the kind of juicy friend stuff of, it's not just we go out for dinner. It's I help her with her life and she cares about her dog. I'll be there. I care about your dog too. And that's why we're best friends.
Oh my God. My most cherished friend memories was when we had to go through something ugly together. Like, that's when you get close, not when you were like posting cute selfies together.
It's the quiet stuff. It's the low key stuff. And we can do that. We can give that to one another.
Okay, so then that makes me want to ask 2 questions. And the first one is, what if you've moved to a new city and you have to start from scratch? What if you don't have a jacuzzi yet? What if you're just like, I need to go to a pottery class or I need to go like dancing at a queer club? Like, I need to just begin. How do I fucking start? And then the next question which is like almost on the opposite end of this, is like, what if someone perceives you as a jacuzzi friend and you're not feeling it?
Okay, those are great questions. And I've been the new kid on the block. I moved to Philly 20 years ago. I didn't know one person. And so what I started doing was going to shows. I was really into, punk and indie. And I go to what I care about. It's like, what do I care about? Shows. And then I'm so friendly. I'm very Midwestern. I just talk to everyone. Now, when I meet friends as a 46-year-old, I reach out to people doing things that I think are cool. And I say, I love what you're doing. How can I help? And then I offer some suggestions. And here's what this looks like in my life. When I got my book deal, I saw another freelancer got a book deal too, a nonfiction book. And I reached out to her. I said, congrats on your book deal. I'm working on one too. If you want to get together, I'm happy to share media leads when you start promoting. Like, I'm happy to help. And we ended up doing it's called book chat. Every week we get together. We have a few other girls that came in. And it started with me offering something to her that would be compelling of, hey, I want to help you. And her book just came out a few months ago. And we have a really lovely friendship. We talk every week and we don't live near each other. This is things you can do to enhance your social circle. I've done that locally. Actually, I met a woman in Philly who also works in media. I saw on Twitter. So I DM'd her, hey, I live in Philly. I work in media. Do you want to get together? And that was compelling enough for her to say yes of, oh, wow, you're in media. I'm in media. And when we were talking, she said that a lot of her friends have moved away recently and she's been really lonely. And I said, I think you'd really hit it off with a few of my friends. Let's all get together. And I told my other friends, I think you guys would love this woman. She's really cool. So I explained what was in it for everyone. Now imagine if I'd said, hey guys, I've been really lonely and cooped up. Like, I want to go out for drinks. Who wants to come? I think people would have bailed or not been as excited as, hey, I met this great lady who works in our field. Why don't we all go out? Because I think you guys would hit it off. And we all went. We had a great time. We're meeting together tomorrow night. We're meeting together every month now of like, let's all get together. So it really is about identifying these opportunities and hearing from this woman a pain point of, I wish I had more friends. And I'm like, girl, I got you. We can do that for people. What's going on? Like, what's a pain point? How can I help? Oh, you want to meet more people? I want to meet more people. What can we do to meet more people? Like,
that's such a good point. Cause like, I've always felt embarrassed during times in my life when I've needed more friends. And so I wasn't like forthright. I didn't like shoot my shot or name my pain point, so to speak. But if I had, maybe someone else could have helped because people love setting others up romantically, platonically. I love making a friend connection. So yeah, I like the idea that like, if you feel lonely, just be like, yo, I'm looking for friends. Someone will totally step in and help like do the matchmaker thing.
Yeah. And I encourage people to remember friendships take time. It's hard if you compare a new friendship to existing ones that have a language, a ceremony, a ritual, and you're just starting new. And it can be very disorienting. Like, oh God, I'm starting from square one. This feels nothing like my closest friends that I've had for 10 years.
From childhood. Yeah.
I really want people to keep their expectations in check and just let it naturally unfold. But we can start with saying, what do you care about? What do you need help with? I'm interested. I want to help.
Yes. Okay, so then I want to go back to the second part of that question, which was like, what if you have the opposite issue in a way where like someone else really wants to be close to you, but you either don't trust them, don't vibe with them. I've dealt with this too, where like I didn't know how to navigate someone who I felt was like, I don't know, like trying to take advantage of me or like wasn't really a good friend for me in that moment.
Well, listen, I will say we don't have a lot of models in our culture for how to handle this. Women are conditioned to not rock the boat. It's like a full body cringe to think about telling someone, I don't want to be your friend. You sound insensitive. You sound fussy. So listen, lots of sympathy. It's very hard to end friendships in a way that's not with romantic friendships because romantic friendships are usually defined. You have a talk. You are my boyfriend. You are my girlfriend. Like you talk about your status, but with friends, we don't really do that. I think the best thing you can do is decline politely and just say, thanks for thinking me. It's not my thing. I'm not interested. Unless like there's an egregious betrayal, it's okay for friendships to drift if the about isn't compelling. And I've also learned that sometimes friendships that aren't compelling, and I'm happy to let drift, something will change where all of a sudden, oh, wait, Actually, we do have something really compelling in common. Like when my dad died in 2021, I heard from an old friend who's like, oh, my dad died last year. And she called me and she checks in on me. And now we had a compelling reason to be in touch is that we both lost our dads. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not that, we couldn't get our friendship active for whatever reason, but then we did have a reason. So I know you're talking about toxic people. I don't think people are toxic. I think behaviors are toxic and people
Yeah.
can change those behaviors. It's not up to us to manage people's disappointments. It's on them to figure out and to make sense of their negative feelings if we can't be available. But my hope is that when you identify your jacuzzi, it will be reciprocal because you'll identify the roles that they play for you. If this person's not playing a role for you, then you're most likely not really playing a role for them.
Yeah. There is like the unfortunate one-off thing where like you do all the polite things that you can think of to distance yourself from someone and it just doesn't work. And that's just awkward. But it was helpful when you said just now that like you don't need to necessarily manage someone else's disappointment if you've done absolutely everything within your control to signal to them that like your focus is elsewhere. I want to shift to posing some listener submitted thought spirals and overthinky questions to you. And I know we've been talking for a while, so I want to kind of frame these as like a lightning round. So the first thought spiral goes, are long distance friendships enough?
Well, we have two categories of friendships. We have active friendships and we have memorial friendships. Active friendships you see all the time, you talk all the time. Memorial ones are more periodic. So it's not enough, but it's okay that they have a special place and it can always change if you live near each other, something changes, but it's not an active friendship. And I think that that's a helpful distinction. So you can reset your expectations. Your long distance friend may not know your challenges and struggles today, but they love you and care for you and know your history. They're great, but it's not an active friendship.
Next thought spiral goes, will new friendships ever compare to old ones?
Oh my God, of course. Like I'm very expansive with my idea of friendship. And I've lived in, Chicago, New York City, Philly now. I've love all my friends, but I used to think of friends as bands to listen to. Like one friend was one CD, another friend was like a different band. But writing this book, I learned how to write the music. It's very different when you can write harmonies and you can like direct your social life. You can direct your energy. You can choose who to invest in. So, of course, like your best friendships are ahead of you. That's what I believe. I
Yeah.
believe it. Like they are ahead of you.
Oh my God, this is like a little morbid, but like when my grandfather died and I went to his memorial, I was so shook by the notion that like everyone who will probably be at my funeral, I've yet to meet. And he was very close to the people who were there. Like it was friends and family, all of whom came into his life when he was in his late 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. So yeah, that's a very hopeful sentiment. Also, I've been meaning to say this whole interview. Shout out for your sense of analogy. Your metaphors, your similes, very helpful, illustrative,
Thank you.
evocative.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. That means a lot coming from you.
You're so welcome. And the next thought spiral goes, now that I have my life partner, do I really need more friends?
Well, your life partner is in your bathtub. Shout out to the bathtub. But you still need those jacuzzi friends. 3 to 5, like I said, is the magic number. And it's because they all play different roles for you. And I got this from Tom Rath's book, Vital Roles. He goes through the 8 different roles that people in our most intimate tiers play for us. So your partner is probably your companion, but you might have a best friend who's your coach or who's a mind opener and introduces you to different directors and bands. Like all your friends play different roles for you. And I want to say that this is why friendship breakups hurt so badly, is because that friend probably played a vital role for you. And that's what you're grieving. Our friendships drift all the time, but they're not always painful. And when it is painful, it's because of that. They played a very important role for you.
Yes. I also learned recently that like a mistake that workaholics make specifically is only having one friend and that friend being their romantic partner.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure to put on one person and it doesn't set anyone up for success.
Totally. The next thought spiral goes, social media makes it look like everyone has these amazing friendships. Where did I go wrong?
Oh God. Well, social media is a spectacle. Ignore social media. The most beautiful moments of your friendship are probably not going to be documented. It's going to be like,
Exactly.
I don't think that's something to aspire to. I don't know how old this person is. I'm in my 40s and it's like, I don't know. It's just a very different orientation I have with social media now of, this is something I do for free for people. Like, why do I have to share my private life with people for free? I don't know. Social media is a highlight reel.
And people use it for so many different reasons. Like, you never know. Someone might be posting all of their amazing friendships, in scare quotes, on social media because those friendships don't feel that amazing in real life and they're trying to prove something to themselves. Or not. Maybe they are amazing in real life and they're capturing that perfectly. You never know. All I know is that I sure as shit do not post my closest friends on social media. It would cheapen them,
Our brains tell us stories about the images that we see. And you could have everyone bickering. Someone's annoyed that the dinner is costing so much. One person's that just got into a fight with her boyfriend and is miserable. Like, you don't even know what's going on. The more I learned about friendship, the less naturally I've gravitated to social media. And I certainly do not use my social media as a representation of my actual friendships. So,
yeah. You know how like some cities or natural views are so fucking beautiful in person that you really can't capture them in a photo. And yet some landscapes or locations actually look like shit in person, but they look really good on Instagram. Like Los Angeles, for example.
Yes.
I know I keep bringing it up, but it's only because where I live. LA looks so good on Instagram. It is such a fugly city in real life. I'm sorry. I can say that. Lived here. It's my town. It's ugly. Sometimes I'll travel to a beautiful place and I'll try so hard to capture it, it can't be done. Honestly, that's a little bit how I feel about friendships. Like, if a friendship looks all that good on social media, it might just be a social media friendship,
Yeah, I don't put a lot of stock into it because I know what friendships require. And it's more than just a photo op.
Totally. Oh my God, yeah. Next person says, what if my friends are only tolerating me?
Oh, well, if your friends are only tolerating you, well, if you really care about what your friends care about, they'll be so excited to have you around. You won't worry about that. You'll be like, of course they love having me around. I care about their dog so much. Like, you're not going to second guess or worry if you take an interest in your friends' interior lives.
Next thought spiral. Adult friendship after kids is a wild universe of its own.
Yeah, absolutely. Your identity's changing, your priorities are changing. It's a transition. And what we can do is give our friends reassurance and say, listen, I know that you're a new parent. I know you're drowning. I love you. The door's always open. I'm here whenever you're ready to pick up our friendship. That's what we can give to our friends who are drowning as new parents. Like, I love you. I get it. I'm here.
Next thought spiral says, why am I more afraid of standing up to my friends than my partner?
Because there's risk there. And the stakes feel high that if you alienate your friend, that your friend will withdraw from the friendship.
Totally. Also because there isn't that same social contract. There is an inked social contract when you enter a romantic relationship with someone. It's just a handshake deal with a friend.
Yeah.
So a fight can be a real threat if you haven't put anything in ink. Yeah,
and you could say like, I love you as a friend. I'm nervous to bring this up. Like, you can let your friend in on the anxiety that you're feeling and be like, I love you, but I have this thing. I need your help. We need to solve this.
Totally. Healthy friendships can survive confrontation.
Oh my God, yeah. We can repair. Danielle Bayer-Jackson wrote a great book, Fighting for Our Friendships. It's all about how to manage conflict in female friendships. It's fantastic if you need a little extra help, but mostly just being honest and authentic. Like, you're on your way.
Next thought spiral says, it feels so much harder to be vulnerable with friends than it did when I was a teenager.
Well, maybe your friendships feel competitive or not very safe. As a teenager, you had less things to less people, so your problems were probably more simple. As an adult, our problems can be very complex. So yeah, it's a different playing field.
Related to the competition comment, I do feel like we feel a lot of pressure in our adulthood to have our shit together. Whereas like the whole thing about being a teenager is like nobody has their shit together and we can kind of all be a mess together, you know? But if you're an adult, you don't want to be too messy. Maybe there's pressure, but
You know what can help is to ask for consent and say, hey, like, I want to vent for 5 minutes. Hey, I want to vent about my husband. Are you in a place to hear it? And just to like get consent, and that'll help you feel like we're respectfully sharing.
yeah, totally. The next thought spiral, I love this one, says quasi-platonic relationships are a blessing and mass confusion. I think they mean like quasi-platonic, quasi-romantic, those like flirty friendships that some of us are lucky enough to have.
Flirty friendship with like other people of the same gender, just like flirty.
Or either way, you know, like depending on your sexual orientation or identity, you know, maybe you might have like a guy friend who like part of your about is like
Being
butts.
flirty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's great, but also friendships that threaten a romantic relationship are usually the first to go. So don't be surprised if your flirt buddy couples up with someone and then you never hear from them.
Yeah, that's a good point. The last thought spiral that I'm going to ask, there were so many, there were hundreds
Oh my God.
actually. The last one that I will ask though says, is it possible to get to the level of closeness that I've had with childhood friends?
Oh, of course. Done.
Literally, though, I mean, I was really fearful of that. I remember there was a period of many years when I lived in LA when my friendships were just total entertainment friendships. They felt really formal. It's like they would never just come over in pajamas and like do nothing with me. And I really mourned that energy. And then, you know, it took time. But eventually I did find a friend as an adult. We met when we were 26, which still sounds really young, but I do believe that this can happen at any point. We can't believe we didn't grow up together. Like, it really feels like we grew up together. But a year before that, this type of friendship would have felt unfathomable to me. So anyway, it is totally possible. It just, in my experience and in your research, it seems like, yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, it's totally possible. You might just need to learn about what friendships require. But once you have a strategy, you're off, queen.
You're off, queen. Also because, like, most people are down to do nothing together. Like, who likes to fucking do anything anymore? You know? Like, if you just open the door and you're like, hey, I know we had dinner plans, but do you actually just want to, like, come over and do nothing? I bet they would be like, thank God. Yes.
1,000,000%. We don't have to use our friends for entertainment. Actually, one of my best friends who has 2 small children, for her birthday this year, she said she just wanted a slumber party with me. So I did have that pajama moment. I did have it. And she had her husband watch her kids. I kicked my husband out to his mom's house and we had a slumber party and we just made it happen. And it started from her putting it out there of all I want for my birthday is a slumber party with you. And I'm like, girl, come over.
That is so sweet. I love that so much. I also had a pajama party a few years ago for my birthday. Because, yeah, I think we all have a nostalgia for the intimacy and vulnerability and messiness of our childhood friendships. And if we were all just a little more honest about that with each other, we could have it again.
Yes, it's really just taking the risk of, I'm interested. Like, what do you think?
Love. Okay, my last question for you, Anna, is what is the one thing with regard to adult friendships that you think people are overthinking the most? And what is the one thing you think people are underthinking the most?
You know, I reached out to you because I specifically wanted to answer this question for your listeners. I think people overthink, am I doing enough for my friendships? Like, you know, if your friendships feel like wild stallions that are dragging you around, you're overthinking. You're probably feeling guilty all the time. Should I reach out? Oh, I didn't wish her happy birthday. Oh, wait, what does this mean? Like, put that heavy backpack down. What they're underthinking is, I really just need to be an extraordinary teammate to a handful of people. I don't need to worry about all of these connections I've made throughout my entire life. That's not how we're designed. That's not realistic. Just pick a few people in your life today and do everything you can to make happy memories with them. And I think happy memories are undervalued. I've never remembered one video chat I've ever had. I've never remembered one text message I've ever sent that's not creating a memory of, remember that time we did that thing? Remember that time we went to Target and you blew your nose on a throw pillow, whatever. Like, you need those funny stories. You need those active memories, and make it happen.
Thank you so much, Anna. Where can people find your work if they want to keep up with you?
Yeah, you can find me on the internet at Anna Goldfarb on Instagram. And I have a Substack called Friendship Explained, where I talk about the mechanics of friendship through a pop culture lens. I have a lot of fun over there. Come find it. Come join me. And I'm obsessed with friendships. Your best friendships are ahead of you. And let's get the party started.
And thank you all so much for listening. Now's the point in the episode where I share a tidbit of evidence-based advice for how we overthinkers can get out of our own heads this week. This one comes from a New York Times piece from 2022 titled How to Follow the News Without Spiraling into Despair by Jenny Tates. And it has to do with the power of using accurate language to label our emotions. Emotion words can be so powerful. I know I personally have felt really validated and in a way set free during times when I found the perfect word to describe a painful emotional experience that I was having. But I have also known what it's like to repeat over and over and over again emotional terminology that catastrophizes my feelings, and that's made me feel a lot worse. This piece cautions against repeating emotional refrains that fail to accurately categorize our emotions, but instead sort of catastrophize them. Tates writes, quote, "It can feel natural to use dramatic statements like, 'I'm broken,' when something terrible happens in the world. That is especially true on social media, where extreme language might be validated by other people's likes or comments. But our words and interpretations have a powerful impact on how we feel and behave. While it's helpful to allow ourselves to honor our feelings, our emotions escalate in intensity when we overstate circumstances that are already painful. So consider replacing thoughts or phrases like 'the world is falling apart' with 'I need to do something to improve X.'" Again, this tidbit is not to endorse toxic positivity or glazing over our emotions. It's to emphasize the power of selecting accurate labels to identify how we feel. Because there have definitely been times in my life where I was experiencing something challenging and kept repeating to myself, I'm destroyed, this has destroyed me," in a way that really just made me feel worse. Reevaluating our affective word choices can be really helpful. So that is my tidbit for today. Thank you again for listening. And until the next thought spiral, remember, think it over, just don't overthink it. Magical Overthinkers was created and hosted by Amanda Montell and edited by Jordan Moore of The Pod Cabin. Our theme music is by Casey Kolb. Thank you to our magical manager, Katie Epperson, coordinator, Reese Oliver, and Network Studio 71. Be sure to follow the pod on Instagram at Magical Overthinkers. We're also on YouTube, link in show notes, and ad-free episodes as well as behind-the-scenes extras are available on the Magical Overthinkers Substack at amandamontell.substack.com.